We're live, by the way. What's going on, people? Welcome to the match preview show. I'm D. I'm joined by Nick, Stan, and T here to look ahead to the Carabao Cup tie against Aston Villa away from home. It is a live show as we've got less than 24 hours till the game, so we thought we might as well do it live. If there's a few people who do want to send in their comments, we can cover them as well. As always, please, if you do watch on replay and if you're watching on live, get involved throughout the show. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and yeah, we're all excited, more excited than we were about probably before Sunday. So that's what a win does to you. We've also got a nice new overlay. Hopefully you appreciate it over the red and blue. So yeah, we are, as I've said, we are working on ways to improve the channel. So there will be new, other overlays coming through as well for the visuals.
How many seasons is this one going to last for, D? Before you can be bothered to change it again? We were saying before the show that it's taken a league win for you to actually pull your finger out, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's only right, after a win, new beginnings.
Yeah,
Our season starts now, hype.
One win, and he's put his hand in his pocket and got a graphic designer in and changed everything.
We're so back, so we might as well enjoy it. Or enjoy it whilst it lasts.
Shame some of our board can't do the same, eh?
Talking about board. Let's actually start there before we get into it, because there is a breaking news from Bobby Manzi, who has said that not just Bobby, there's actually a press release as well from Eagle Football's holding that they are looking to identify a finalist and a buyer in early November 2024 for John Textor's shares, which, we are going into November literally in about a few days' time. So in the next couple of weeks, they should be able to identify a buyer. So that's quite significant. Interestingly, though, the amount that they're looking is up to $500 million US, which is around 380 million pounds. Which
a season ticket at Arsenal.
It's quite significant, though. It's quite at them levels, Nick. When you look at it, John Textor did buy the club for around 90 million pounds, and not too long ago, getting around 380 million pounds in a short span of time. I guess you're kind of selling the idea of the new stadium expansion plans, but do you think that's realistic? It must be.
Well, first of all, you said looking for, didn't you? You didn't say have found.
Up to 500 million. That's what the press release.
No, but they haven't found any buyers, have they?
No, they are expecting to identify a finalist and a buyer in early November 2024.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be short of takers for it. I don't know if he's going to get 500 million bucks for it, 500 million US dollars for it, but we'll see.
Yeah, but for me, look, I just want it to be over and done with. That's let's just get, if he wants to sell up, which he has wanted to for a while, which we've known about, let him sell up. Let's move on and see some of the names actually involved. We have heard of rumors about people over in America interested in buying it, Middle East as well. So hopefully a decision is made sooner rather than later. But I think it is quite ambitious. I think it'll be incredible if you got that kind of money. But let's see. I'm not in that field. But yeah, as Andy said in the live chat, no way, £500 million with no say. He does have a say, but of course, we know what goes on around the football club in terms of golden share and all of this and that. So I'm not going to get into that further. Mukhtar saying no way Texas is getting that as well. But yeah, we're meant to find out in the next couple of weeks, at least, based on Bobby Manzi and also the PR release from Eagle Football Holdings. Now, that's over and done with. Palace, we are back. We are back with a Carabao Cup tie. The fourth round, 3 games. Well, not 3 games. 3 rounds away from Wembley and the cup final, because of course the semi-final is double-legged. This time around, we're going to Aston Villa. I don't think that many fans are traveling. I don't know what the latest numbers are, but not too long ago, it was around 200 tickets that were sold. That might have went up after the win against Spurs. But how are we feeling? I'll start off with you, T, after that Spurs victory. Are you optimistic more than you was before Sunday in terms of potentially getting a result?
For sure, without a doubt. I mean, I think momentum plays a big part in this game, and not just the result from Saturday, from the weekend. Like, let's be honest. Like, the result was one thing, but actually the way in which we played was a whole nother thing. I think for anybody who was taking it in and watching it, the way that we played, the way that we pressed, the way that we dominated them, I think it gives you a lot of confidence moving forward, especially into a cup match against a team who's got a lot going on right now. And we may not see their strongest team put out there. So I think momentum is high, and you're optimistic for a good match, good outcome.
Yeah, look, they're top of the Champions League group. I don't think they've conceded a goal yet in the Champions League. They're also doing well in the Premier League. It's not going to be an easy tie. However, knowing Glasner, he is going to approach this game, of course, with a winning mentality. I don't think any manager out there doesn't want to win a game, but we know when he means what it means by that is that he will approach the game, with tactical adjustments to try and win the game rather than sit off Aston Villa, which hopefully that is not the case in terms of setting off, and we do have the same energy. But Stan, I've got a comment here from Mitch saying, sorry, would be happy to bin this game off. You don't agree with that, right? Because we had this discussion before we went on air, and you did say that this game is as important or more important than the Wolves game. We won a decent cup run.
Absolutely disagree with anyone that wants to bin this game off. Sorry. We're 9 games into the season. All right, we've won 1 game. Listen, we said at the beginning the minimum should be quarterfinals of both cups and looking to finish in mid-table somewhere. That's still a huge possibility. We're still quite early. We're not early, but early-ish into the season. It's a massive game. It's a massive, massive game because it's an opportunity to potentially set up a quarterfinal. As you can see with games that are going on now, there's championship teams giving prem teams a game. If you get a good draw in the quarters, then you're 2 games from Wembley, right? So, yeah, it's a big, big game, and we should not bin this off at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is an important game, not only in terms of the Carabao Cup run and what it could do in terms of giving the fans optimism about some kind of silverware, which is, of course, is a 4th round. There's some massive Premier League ties as well that's going around. So we'll see what happens with those games, Nick. But also to build a bit of momentum, because if you go in this first game and perform like that, yes, the result is important. And I've said this all about the result. Like, the result is lovely. We wanted that kind of result, regardless, especially if you're winning. If you haven't won a game in 8, but it was a performance as well as a result. If we go and perform similar levels against Aston Villa, it gives everyone a bit of hope that, even if the result doesn't go for us, if we go with a strong team, then we can bring this forward to the Wolves game. We can have something going forward.
It depends who's playing. I think the big difference has been that the difference between Nketiah and Sarr. And Sarr seems to know what he's doing in that position. And Nketiah always seems to be drifting in, drifting out position. So we'd be losing the cohesion and the shape. I can't remember where I read it, but somebody said that they thought that I can't remember if it's now WhatsApp or Twitter or somewhere else, but Nketiah seems to not have the football nous for somebody of his age. He plays like somebody inexperienced rather than somebody who's been playing that long. But that's what happens when you're on the bench for years, I suppose, and not getting match time. So that could be a brilliant player who's been wasted because we live in a world where football squads have to be massive and we buy players to stop them playing for other teams. But that's another discussion. Villa, the team, we've got to think about who they're going to play as well. It's one of those where, okay, Watkins might not play, but Duran will.
Yeah, he will play for
as long
sure.
as you've got somebody like that on the pitch, you've got to be wary. I was looking on the Villa forum. I'm just going to go over to that now, just so I can give them a plug. Yeah, Villa
so old school, by the way, to look at forums.
No,
but I love it. I love it. I do love it because
I like to see what the opposition are thinking. And there's one school of thought that Palace are going to play a second 11, and that there's no way that Ezra's going to play. Nobody seems to think that Palace will put out a strong team, but I think we will. I think the fitness is getting better than it was. And the Champions League thing, an interesting point one of them made was they're top of the group. They'd have to do incredibly badly to not qualify for the next stages. And the League Cup is a chance for them to get silverware. So actually they might focus on that as well, because in December, when they've got more Champions League games and a lot of league games that they're also focused on. I mean, the wheels have got to come off at some point, surely. But they're seeing the Carabao Cup as something achievable out of all the ones to go for. A little bit like we are.
But I do think Villa will rotate it more than Palace. Saying that, even if Villa do rotate it, you're looking at a team that's competing in Champions League, high up the Champions League. You have players like John Duran who will start. We'll see how effective he is if he does start rather than coming off the bench, because there's conversations about that. But they've got a very good squad. But then again, on the flip side, when we look at Palace, even when I talk about a strong team can still be a rotated team because of some of the players that we have available on the bench. So when you look at the squad and the starting 11 that we had against Spurs, who would change any of the players they're going into this game to get more minutes? I think one of the two players to look at is Sarr. Should he start again because of the impact that he had with Munoz? And also Nketiah, who didn't start the previous game. Is this worth rotating, or would you all prefer to go with a strong same 11 that we had against Spurs?
I'll go with the same 11. You've got to start Sarr again, get those minutes into his legs. He cramped up on 65 minutes on Sunday. But I think you just got to keep getting those minutes into his legs and keep going and keep going and keep going. I don't know if I'd play Nketiah. I think they might play Tyrone Mings. There's a lot of hype there with him because he's coming back from injury. Are they going to play Diego Carlos or are they going to play someone else at the back? You just don't know, right? So I would start with JP. But they've got even if they play a bit of a weaker team, they're still a really good side. So I would play our strongest team personally.
Yeah, they built that team for European football to where they're too deep pretty much all across the pitch. And that's why this is going to be a tough matchup no matter what, because even if they play a rotated, rested 11, they're still playing starting 11 quality players out there. You know what I mean? For us, I don't see a lot of change. I mean, I think a lot of things stay the same. Interested to see what they do with Lerma, because I know he came off and
he won't be
a bit of an
fit,
injury.
I don't think.
So with Lerma not being fit, more than likely you probably and he already said the check's not fit. So it's probably Hughes and Wharton in the midfield.
Or Hughes and Kamada.
Or which then again, Kamada then becomes that next central midfielder to come in, which, as we've seen, can be not the greatest thing in the world. So, I mean, I'd be surprised to if we didn't do the exact same lineup, sans Lerma, and then throwing somebody like Hughes in there.
Yeah. Someone not someone. I saw a comment here. What says play same 11, rest only Wilson? But I think with a rest and Wharton situation,
if you rest Wharton, then you're playing Hughes and Kamada in there.
Wharton was key for us Sunday as well. That
was his best game of the season by far.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He looked fit. He looked ready against Spurs. But I don't know if this game will be a bit too fast for Walton, maybe after playing on Sunday and the amount of minutes that he played, because I would like him to be fit for the Wolves game. And when you play
unless they're
Kamada,
going to bring
let's say
Decore back.
Kamada and Hughes play together, the balance, I'm a bit worried about that midfield, especially defensively. I don't think the balance is there. One yellow card to Will Hughes, then what happens? What happens with that midfield?
Well, there you go, right? So have we got it? I'm trying to think. You could push Gay up into midfield, like he can play there.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
He's played there before, but then who are you going to shift? Are you going to shift? Obviously, you're going to have Chalobah and Lacroix, Munoz, Mitchell, and you're going to a third centre back will probably have to be Nathaniel Klein, right?
Yeah.
So
Chalobah can play centre defensive.
That means you got to put somebody on the left that's not that good on the left, unfortunately.
Yeah. Decore is not back. Glasner did confirm.
I think you think they're waiting, they're holding him for Wolves, maybe?
Yeah, maybe Wolves game. Of course, he's had injury problems for a while now, so I don't think they want to rush him back. And then Lerma, he had a hamstring injury, according to Glasner, so he wouldn't. I'm 90% certain he won't be available for this game. Let's find out how long he's going to be out for. So that midfield with Decore coming back will look a bit more healthier, especially if Lerma's out for a bit of a period of time. But in this game, it might be a bit too early. But then again, it just depends on how fit Walton is. I wouldn't be surprised if Glasner does play Walton again. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same starting 11. Glasner needs to win this game. And we've seen it against QPR. Like, look at that team. I know it's not the same 11 as it was against Spurs, but in his head, that's the starting 11 that he wanted to make it work. You still had Eze, you had Mateta, you had Nketiah. That was our front three around that period of time when we was playing those three. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mateta, Sarr, and Eze start in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Lacroix, you have the likes of Lacroix, Chalobah, Gay start. If Walton is fit, you could start. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same starting 11. Maybe the one change he might want to do is play Klein instead of Munoz. But then again, from Glasner's come in, he doesn't seem like the type of manager who's really willing to rotate it when it comes to cups. Like, he wants to go full strength 11.
Yeah, he's a cup manager, D. He is. Someone here put it's a guy just to Eze. You put recall Ozo.
Ozo's hurt.
He's injured, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Recall Edouard.
Cool back Edouard as well. Yeah. Mitch saying 6 minutes plus for Hughes is more than ideal already.
That's the thing.
You have to.
If you know you're going to have Decore back on Saturday, then maybe you play Wharton and Hughes, and then because you know you're going to play Decore at the weekend. I don't know, man.
That's the thing. You've got 3 games in 7 days. You've got to rotate a little bit, surely.
Well, you can play Schlupp as well. You can play Schlupp. I don't know. You probably have to play him in midfield. It's not a good idea.
Jesus, you play him in the midfield too.
You can play anyone you want, man, but it's like, where do you play?
Yeah, you'd have to play him. You'd have to play him in midfield, but no.
Exactly.
Their centre mid is going to be probably McGinn and Ross Barkley, and they're 2 good players as well, right? So
yeah, exactly. Look, I think he's going with the same strong starting 11. There's no surprises there. Glasner's a cup manager, but so is Emery. I think that's fair comment as well from Mitch. Of course, Emery's won on European level, a few times. Glasner's won the Europa League as well. Both managers have been taking competition seriously. I'm looking at even the likes of other Premier League oppositions who are playing tonight. We've got Brentford, very strong lineup. Southampton, strong lineup as well. So it's not like any Premier League teams are really rotating. I think this is like important in terms of building a bit of momentum and trying to keep something going. But the most important thing, other than players, what I'm looking out for in this game is, yes, we might not win. That might be unfortunate. Hopefully we do go win. But I want us, even if the worst case scenario happen, I want it to happen with a similar type of performance that we had against Spurs. And it is simple as this. I want to see energy from minute 1 to the 90th minute. And that is the press. That is what we were known for last season. I know we were scoring goals, But so far this season, apart from the Spurs game, it hasn't been there. It hasn't been there. We've been too comfortable with the opposition.
Because Nketiah can't play it. I don't think Nketiah can play the press. I don't think he's learned it yet. He's the.
Can't be that hard. Just run at the player. Can't be that hard. Just run at the player.
Yeah, I know, but it's
honestly. I think Nketiah is not the issue. I think Kamada was the issue.
Yeah,
when Kamada came out, we could press. Like if you've been watching, when he's in the game, we can't press. We can't press when he's in center mid. We can't press when he's playing attacking mid. But when he's out of the game, and you have the SARs out there, and you even have Nketiah can press because he has pace. I think that's one of the biggest issues with us when we have somebody like Kamada in there is that we can't press because he just doesn't have the acumen to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. It's not the fact that he can't run. Some people look at pressing as just running onto the opposition. It's not just that. It's cutting out the passing lanes as well.
Yeah,
there's a way to press. And Kamada just defensively, he's not that guy. He's just not. He's not defensive. He hasn't got defensive awareness. He's just poor out of possession. He just can't track his runner, or he won't be able to press properly, and you can easily play around him. So that has been the issue. So in this game, when we're talking about pressing and we're talking about rotating players,
he has made some very good and important tackles, though. So he can tackle Kamada.
Yeah, he can tackle, but it's not tackling that's been an issue. It's the press that's been an issue. It's the when
stopping and the start
running.
It's like the stop and start. The being able to get up to speed quick enough. Like what I mean. I think he can think the game pretty well, but at times like the stopping and starting, like that's why you can play around him so easily at times because he can't get going as quick as he needs to in order to be effective at times.
Yeah, but that's what I want to see. We start from there. Also, another adjustment that we made from the Spurs game. I don't know if you lot have noticed. We were willing to go long, and it did work because if you go, it wasn't always the case of Palace trying to play out from the back. We were, I remember in a lot of goal kicks, Henderson was just telling the players to go up. And when you're winning second balls, or let's say they win the ball in midfield, and then you're able to press them, counter press them straight away, then it gives us more opportunities. Because I mean, it has been a struggle at times playing out from the back. But we made these two adjustments. The most important one is the press. That's all I need to see to give me a bit of hope. Because I think without that, I think Villa, it's going to be too easy for Villa. But I do think from what we saw against Spurs, I do think that will continue.
So the one thing that we did, you made a really good point there, that we were willing to go long, sometimes play out from the back, other times go long. Spurs never went long until right at the end. And even then, they were chasing it. They didn't go long, right? So, and that killed them eventually, trying to play out from the back, etc., etc. So I agree with that. I think the press is key. If we can press them, we'll give them a game. That's all I'll say.
And also, what you also have to realize too, and this is the double-edged sword of playing a guy like Ismail Assar as compared to a Kamada or Nketiah. He gives you the press, he gives you pace overall, and he gives you a partnership on the right-hand side, an experienced player who knows how to play on that right-hand side. In addition to Munoz, it's like Munoz looked like a brand new player being able to overlap and underlap, especially because a lot of times Sarr was holding the width and Munoz would underlap, and that gives us a partnership and some balance on the right side that I feel like we've been craving in games past that we now have. So now we have a fit and capable press, along with a balance on the field between right side and left side of the attack. It makes us a very, very formidable team that we haven't seen in prior iterations of us.
Yeah, he did go off injured. I remember against Spurs.
He cramped. He was cramping.
He's cramping.
They took him off.
He looked fine. There's been no conversation around Sarr being injured, but it's already showing what we'll see in the Villa game. But based on Spurs, based on Sarr's appearances coming off the bench, it's showing the reliance that we're going to have on Sarr. I know we signed a few players, but funny enough, Sarr might be one of the most important ones, especially trying to add balance to the side based on what he done against Spurs. Because if it ain't Sarr, then we don't have any other wide options or creative kind of player down the right-hand side. So at least till January, unless we want to improve the squad then or recall Jez, which I don't think will happen.
Jez,
yeah, Sar's going to be a very important player, and for me in this game, he will be as well. But that's if he starts Sar again and doesn't include Nketiah, which I won't. That's the thing. You have to try and make both Mateta and Nketiah happy. So I don't know if he drops Mateta in this game. It's very hard to decide because in theory, I think he will go with the same starting 11 that he had against Spurs. But then again, he might be willing in his head. He might think, still having Nketiah in the side, it's still strong enough to go beat Villa. So he might start Nketiah and Mateta together, or he might start Sar. So that's going to be an interesting point, and it's good that we have that headache in the first place. But Michael seems to start Nketiah up front.
You can't play the long ball if you do. If you start Nketiah, you can't play the long ball like we did.
I don't think it's about keeping either of them happy. It's about getting the result. So he's gonna, and Glasner is the type of manager that he does what he needs to do to try and get the result. So I would say with JP, because they're very, like, if they're going to play Diego Carlos and either one of Tyrone Mings, or is it Pau Torres that plays it back for them as well, they're like those are physical centre backs. Like those guys are good in the air.
Not to mention last time we played them, Mateta abused those guys. Abused them.
Yeah. So it was the end of the season, and they've been on the beer for about 5 days beforehand. But
it's worth pointing out that a lot of the Villa fans in the forum, the aforementioned forum, was saying that when they played Wickham in the last round, it was almost like they were trying to lose the game, but they still managed to get through somehow.
But that's the thing. If you're a Villa player, I know Villa fans will naturally want to win a trophy by all means. They're not looking at, well, of course you'd rather win the Champions League than the Carabao Cup. But if you're a Villa player,
they're going to win the Champions League.
It's crazy. I know it's crazy. I don't think they're going to win
it. They've done it before.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll win it. I don't think they'll win the Champions League. But I do think the Carabao Cup for them this season, on paper, anyways, looking from the outside in, it won't be seen as like a high regard for the players. If I'm a player, I'm looking at, well, we're doing well in the Premier League, we're doing well in the Champions League. It's like, I won't be surprised if that was the case against Wickham. And that pretty much shows, where they're at. They're just onto bigger and better things.
And we haven't gotten the FA Cup play yet either.
Yeah, exactly. FA Cup's
they got a lot going on. I mean, naturally, at some point, even though, I said earlier, they are equipped to be too deep everywhere. Even with that, like,
it takes a toll on you, man.
Fixture congestion, like, there has to be some prioritization that's going to happen at some point within their season, where they're going to have to decide, what do we care about the most here? What's our ranking here? Is it Champions League 1, Premier League 2, Carabao, FA Cup 3, 4, whatever? Like, at some point, they're going to have some prioritization of things.
I think if they end up going deep into any of these competitions as well, like you said, like fatigue, players, we'll see. There's a good comment here. Red F, play Asher. I would actually like to see Asher Agbenoni get some considerable minutes in this game. I would like to see what he's all about, because we saw him once in pre-season and he looked semi-decent, and he come on against Forest. I know that we were chasing it and he just pushed us up the pitch a little bit, but I want to see what he's all about. I would like to see him get a decent amount of minutes.
Yeah, let's see what Glasner does, but I'll be honest, I don't see Asher starting.
Not starting. I think off the bench, 25 minutes off the bench could.
It just depends. I'm saying, if it's one, like, if it's 1-0 up in the 70th minute, are you wanting to see him stand?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's easy to say we want to see Asher play, but realistically, in what scenario would Asher play?
And for him to get in there, it's probably going to be Eze coming off.
Yeah. So it just, I guess it depends what happens during the game, but I just don't really see it happening. I'll be surprised if he played considerable minutes. Against Forest, he came on and he was exciting, but even then, Glasner downplayed
Brandon Pierre was exciting for all of 6 minutes when he was on in against Norwich, wasn't he?
Yeah, he just has like 5-6 minute spells. So yeah. I mean, let's see what happens. But look, let's go to score predictions. I know this is a live show. We normally don't do the previews live, but we thought let's say 24 hours to the game, and also we might do.
Hang on, before you say that, you said we thought when the logo came up at the beginning, you went, "Oh, by the way, this is live." We had no.
Yeah, I didn't know it was live.
You said it when the titles came up. Come on, admit it.
Yeah. But then again, I just caught you off guard. I just want to see how on full everyone is and how switch on everyone is.
Fair enough.
Normally it's not
Lock
live.
in.
So I thought I'd drop it right before we go to the literally go on air. Like, yeah, this is live, by the way. But yeah, let's move on to score predictions now. What are we expecting? Who wants to start off?
I'll start. 2-0 Palace or 4-0 Villa.
I mean, he's hedging his bet. That's what he's doing. He's hedging his bet. He's going to be able to come back and say, I told you it was going to be this.
Exactly. What he's basically saying is either Aston Villa or Crystal Palace will win in the Aston Villa Crystal Palace game. And Nick, I think one of your predictions will come true.
All right, I'll be positive and say 2-0 Palace.
2-0 Palace.
And Munoz will get a goal at last.
Ooh, wow.
You know what? I'm worried about it going to pens. I'm worried about it. I can see it being like a 0-0 or 1-0. And on pens, I'm not confident based on previous penalty shootouts. I think
that one against Bournemouth,
right?
I can't. Well, listen, I'm going for 1-1 full time. Palace pens. There you go. Palace win on penalties.
All right, cool. I'm going 1-1 pens. I'm going to go for Palace win. Glasner effect. We're a bit better in penalty shootouts on the ground. That's my hope. That's my hope. See?
I'm gonna go.
Few 1-1s. Mukhtar says 1-1.
I'm gonna go with
Villa wins
0-0 Palace on pen.
2-0.
Oh,
What?
0-0.
Oh, 0-0. 2-0 Palace on pens.
And what's the score going to be at half time, T? Sorry, that's no joke.
We're getting too extreme. We're getting too extreme now. Half-time predictions.
Half-time, full-time.
What are we doing? Like the whole But we got 0-0 Pens to Villa, 2-0 Palace, 2-1 Palace, 1-0 Palace. Yeah, some people are saying they could go to pens and Villa could be winning. I think it's going
to be a deadlock, man. I think it's just going to be a knockdown, drag out, deadlock type of game. There's going to be a few near chances, maybe some shots just wide of the mark, and then it'll boil down to those penalties.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. But look, people, if you have enjoyed this, please drop a like and subscribe. Hopefully, you've enjoyed watching it with the new overlay. If you have watched it rather than listening to it on the podcast, we'll be back, of course, for the match reaction tomorrow night, as well as more content coming through before the game against Wolves on Saturday. That's it from Nick, T, Stan, and I. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.
Shit.